Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Movie Script channel. It has certainly been a long time, and to be honest, I didn't know if I was coming back. Let me just tell you something about being a content creator on YouTube. Sometimes you can put in the work, and you put in all this work into trying to make a decent channel, trying to make decent videos, and then you get no views, no likes, no subscriptions, and I can't tell you how much it deflates you. It just really just makes you not want to do it. So for a time, I just kind of didn't want to do it. And let me just say that I sympathize with all of you viewers out there who don't hit that like and subscribe button. I do the exact same thing. All the YouTube videos that I end up watching, do you think that I go on there and I hit like or subscribe? No, I don't. I'll watch a video and then I'll just back out and go to another video. I get it. I mean, I'm just as lazy as you guys, but then when you're on the content creator side, you don't get those likes and you don't get those subscribes, and you say to yourself, you're like, why am I even doing this? Like, why bother? But to be honest, I still love talking about movies. I love talking about movies. I love talking about TV shows. Now, I think I'm going to end that hiatus. I think I'm just going to go back to reviewing certain movies, certain TV shows. I'd love to talk about the Fallout TV show. I'm a huge Fallout fan, and I genuinely enjoyed the TV show, but I binged it like everybody else. Like everybody else, I watched it in like a day and a half. So what I plan on doing is watching each episode, and after each episode, then I go on my computer here, I boot up DaVinci Resolve, and I'll put out a video on my thoughts in a nice, organic way and not rushing just to get my video out. I'd definitely like to talk about Shogun, but I think I'm just going to do that in one video. And the reason why is because, dude, you're talking to a fucking Gen Xer who has no movie or filmmaking experience. He just loves movies, and I love a spectrum of movies. I like the original Transformers movies, but I hated all of the rest after. I am a person who, of course, as far as Star Wars movies goes, Empire Strikes Back is number one. But you know what? You know what my second favorite Star Wars movie is Episode 3. And that's an opinion that very few people have. But I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of what I like and what I don't like. I think this is just an opinion. I don't need to form my opinion based on other people's opinions. And I think that's kind of missing from a lot of people. Like, a lot of people have to jump on a bandwagon, and I can't do it. I can't do that shit. So now that I've got my little rant out of the way, and I don't even know where I began with this, I'm back, baby. I'm back, and what I wanted to discuss today is Late Night with the Devil. Now, as I said, I had a few friends who saw the movie in the theaters, and they hated it. Personally, I watched it last night. I watched it on AMC. Like, I took a free trial for AMC just so I can see it, and I'll probably cancel the AMC trial, although I'll check out what they have, because who knows. So I watched it on AMC through Amazon Prime. And I'm going to tell you something. I didn't hate it and I didn't love it, but I did like it. And I'll elaborate a bit further, but I'll just say this. In a nutshell, out of the three acts 1, 2, and 3, acts 1 and 2 had me. It was compelling. I enjoyed it. I loved the set pieces, the acting. And then Act 3 just went completely off the rails. And that is ultimately like my big problem with the movie. The movie came out in 2023, and the movie stars David Dastmalchian? Dastmalchian? I don't know. Laura Gordon and Ian Bliss. Basically, David stars as a late night talk show host from the 60s/70s era, and it's honestly the most interesting part of the show. I don't know if you guys watch American Dad, but there's this episode of American Dad where Stan ends up finding an old TV and an old mattress out on the side of the street, and he hooks up the TV down in the basement, and he sits on the mattress. I think he gets like scabies, or I can't remember what the hell he gets, but he gets something where he goes delusional. I want to say it's like syphilis or something like that. But anyway, he starts watching TV and he starts watching this old late night show that nobody knows what he's talking about called Nighthawks. That's what originally got me thinking about this movie. Now, personally, I love David. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to call him David. He was the Spot guy from Suicide Squad, and he's just a great actor. Like, he has this look about him. Like, he's made for horror movies. He truly is. I thought that the rest of the actors were really good. I just think that a lot of them were underutilized, but we'll go over that as I discuss a little bit about the movie. Now, I wanted to discuss the directors/writers, and there's two directors/writers, which it's interesting to me because the first two acts of the story, I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to, so let me just say that there's not going to be any spoilers in this video. I guess the summary of the story is that this is kind of like a found footage, although more properly produced. Like, it's not shaky cam or anything like that, but it's kind of like footage from a single night of a I want to say it's late 60s television talk show that is kind of just going in the dumpsters. It's, ratings are slipping, so it's sweeps week, and so he's just decided to bring out these kooky characters. One guy is a guy who can communicate with the dead. The other person is like a James Randi skeptic. He's actually one of my favorite parts of the film. And then the final person is the psychiatrist that's with a girl who is possessed. Without giving too much away, basically the movie takes place on the night of the show. The set designs are fantastic. The acting, you watch the movie and you see them like smoking and drinking, and then you if you're someone older like me, you remember things like that. Like, I forget that you used to be able to fucking smoke on airplanes. And dude, everywhere you went, it smelled like cigarette smokes. You went to Applebee's, you went to Fridays, you went to any of those restaurants, it smelled like cigarette smoke because they would have a smoking section and a non-smoking section. As much as I hate freedoms getting taken away, I am so glad that there's no smoking anywhere, because so many places just smelled like an ashtray and it was the worst. But then seeing stuff like this where they're just smoking like right on the show, and it's just so, it's a little bit jarring, but at the same time, I've kind of lived through it. But for the younger crowd, it's almost like it's got to be like a myth. Like, it's almost got to be like, really? Like, you guys fucking just smoked everywhere and that smell just got up in your face and on your clothes and everything? It's like, yep, and you just tolerated it. That's just the way it was. Anyway, little things like that I really enjoyed. As I said, the acting is really good. Now, here's the thing. I've told you a basic summary of the story, which is a single night where this host decides to go all out on the paranormal, and basically what happens is in the third act, the paranormal manifests itself and things go crazy, although there's way more twist to that, and that's the problem. So getting back to the directors/writers, I'm curious to see what else they have written and directed. I'm looking at their credits, and writing credits, I don't see anything good. Tales from the Crypts, which is a TV special, Fancy Boy, The Wheelhouse, and that's it. And it shows, I mean, they had a good concept. These writers/directors had a good concept. And then in the third act, they decided to get like college artsy on the whole thing, and everything just falls apart on the third act. Now, before I get into a bit further on what I liked, what I didn't like, what worked, what didn't work, without there being spoilers, I just want to say that as a rating, I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. And I would say that when I was done watching the movie, I didn't feel like I wasted my time. Like, there's a lot of movies where I've watched it, and then when I'm done, I'm like, Jesus, I can't believe I wasted my time watching that movie. I'm trying to think of a movie like recently that I watched that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I wasted my time on that movie. If I think of a movie, I'll get back to it, but this isn't like that. I don't think that the movie is bad enough where it's a waste of time. And I think that if you like the actors, if you like the concept of the film, I think you should watch it. And to be honest, you may like the third act. I think it was unnecessary. I'll go into it a bit further. Again, spoiler free, but I think it just went completely off the rails. I would recommend watching it if you could watch it for free. Do the free trial like I did. I did a free trial through AMC, through Amazon Prime. You know how it goes. You just go in there, get a 7-day free trial, and then you can watch it, see what else they have on their channel, and I guess if you want to keep it, you can, but I usually just end up canceling them. I would still suggest watching it because you may find something that you really enjoy about this film. I enjoyed a lot of things about this film. Like, I more than anything want to fix it, especially the third act. Really, the first and second act aren't that bad. There's some parts of the character's backstory where, again, it starts off simple and then they completely... They make it complicated to try to make it either artsy or to try to make it sophisticated, and it just doesn't work. I don't understand why they did that. Why not keep it simple? There's so many good horror movies that are simple. They don't need to be complicated. You've got your complicated movies. You've got movies like Hereditary, overtly complicated, sometimes requires more than one viewing to understand what the fuck went on at the end, especially. And then you've got other movies like Halloween and Friday the 13th and stuff like that are just simplistic. They're just slasher horror movies, and even something like Terrifier. Now, look, I'll be the first to admit that although I love Terrifier specifically for its practical effects and for the fact that it has gone bold and it doesn't hold back, the story is garbage. It's a fucking complete mess as well. But again, like, if they kept it simple, I would be okay with that. And Late Night with the Devil, it keeps it simple up until the third act and then just decides to go artsy-fartsy, and it's a fucking mess. So let's see, how can I discuss this without discussing spoilers? I will tell you this. The paranormal does manifest itself, but when it manifests itself in the third act, it's a bit hokey, to the point where I almost got a chuckle out. Speaking of chuckles, when you start this movie off, there's like 8 production companies that show their logo in the beginning, and it's so ridiculous that you are absolutely going to laugh. There's a scene from Family Guy where Peter's watching a movie and he keeps thinking that the production company clips are part of the movie. It's like, oh, here it's starting, and it's like, oh no, this is another one. That's exactly how this movie felt. Going back to the third act, when they do show the paranormal in the third act, it just... Again, it goes off the rails. There's flashbacks. There's flash forwards. I don't even know how to explain it except to say that it becomes a jumbled nightmare in the third act. But the ride in the first and the second act is great. I mean, I love all the technical aspects, all the little behind-the-scenes snippets that they recorded. There was just so much potential, and I think that's the problem. I think there was just a lot of wasted potential. Let me start off with the host and just say that, you know, besides him being the host, he also has a little bit of a backstory. He has a wife in the film, and his wife dies of cancer. And I'm not going to spoil any more than that, but I will just say this. There was so much that I thought they were going to do with the wife, and then when they didn't, I was like, wait, that's it? It seems like they had opportunities to branch out some storylines specifically with the host and his wife, and then they just did not at all. 2 other characters that are side characters is, I guess, the host, David's agent, Jack. I'm gonna call him Jack. 2 other characters is Jack's, I guess, agent, or I don't know if he's the agent or the producer. There's him. And then there's the co-host, which is the guy, he's like the announcer. He's almost like the sidekick. He's almost like an Andy Richter type person. But I thought they were going to do something with those 2 as well. Like, again, not giving too much away, I thought they were going to portray a devil, angel type of character where, you know, you've got the producer where he's sleazy and he wants these things to keep going even though it looks like it's getting out of control, and he's just whispering in Jack's ear and he's like, hey, like, ratings are going to be insane and who cares, let's just keep going. And then you have the Andy Richter type guy and he's like, yo, things are getting out of control, maybe we should stop. I thought they were going to do more with that and they didn't, which is a shame. We're going to segue right into the James Randi skeptic guy. Now, he has some fantastic scenes. He ends up debunking the guy who can talk to spirits, although something does happen to him later on. Again, not going to spoil it, but even that guy, he had a little side plot where I thought they were going to do more with it. It's really tough to talk about it, but I don't think I want to spoil the movie, and I'm not going to make a spoiler video because I don't think I want to spoil it. I think I want people to watch this and form an opinion for themselves, because I think the third act is subjective. I didn't like it, but I didn't absolutely hate it. It just went off the rails. It went untethered. It got overly complicated. But I think that if you would have cleaned up some of it, it wouldn't have been too bad. I still think that I would recommend people to watch this because it's something new. It's something original and unique. You know, we always complain about remakes and reboots and all that garbage, and I agree with that. But if we're not going to go watch movies like this that are not perfect, but they're decent original movies, then what the fuck are we doing, man? Then don't complain about remakes and reboots and unoriginal ideas in superhero movies. That makes money. Now, the other actors were really good, but the James Randi type really impressed me because just like James Randi, he has a check in his pocket for $500,000 if you can absolutely prove that the paranormal exists. And it's really funny because that check comes into play in the third act, but in a comical way. And again, everything's off the rails. The third act is just completely off the rails. Some of it is a little bit funny, but not enough to save the movie. So if you're thinking to yourself like, hey, if the third act is off the rails, isn't that a good thing? I think that this movie would have benefited more if it just stayed the way acts 1 and 2 stayed and not just went that way. So I've talked about the James Randi character. I'm not going to talk about the guy who can talk to spirits because he is a smaller part and it does come into effect later in the movie, but it's just not significant enough to talk about. The host himself, he has this side story where he's in a cult, like some type of owl cult, and again, they could have cut all of that out. They could have cut all of that completely out and the movie would have been so much better for it. And that's why, again, I don't want to spoil it completely. I want you to watch it and see if you agree with me. And if you don't agree with me, tell me below because I genuinely want to know. I just thought it was too much. I think that they could have kept it simple and it would have been such a better movie. I would have probably given it a 9, if anything. So some of the quick things I wanted to discuss is that the girl actor who plays the possessed girl was pretty good. She was really creepy, especially the way she looked, the way her eyes looked. They're very big. Not as big as the girl from Fallout TV series, but they're pretty decent size. Yeah, I just thought all of that worked up until the third act. And when you see the final possession form, you're just like, what the fuck is this? It made me laugh because I was just like, what? I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what the? It's almost like there. It says that there's 2 directors, and it's almost like one director was directing most of the movie, and then the second director just took over, and it became fucking a madhouse. So I think that's where I want to leave it at. I give the movie a 7 out of 10. I recommend people watching it. I don't think that it's a waste of anybody's time. Other than that, it's a well-made movie. It's well acted. It looks really well done. Speaking of that, though, I do want to mention that there was some type of controversy about there being AR in the film, and I tried really hard to see if I can find the AI images in the film, and I just couldn't find them. I don't know where people are saying. I'm assuming, my assumption is that it's the when they go to commercial and it shows like the we'll be right back and stuff like that. I'm assuming those may be done with AI art because they looked a little bit too colorful, but I couldn't find anything else besides that. So I'll have to look it up. In fact, you know what? Let's just look it up online now. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at it here. And it says here, here's a quote from the directors. It says, in conjunction with our amazing graphics and production design team, all of whom worked tirelessly to give this film the 70s aesthetic we had always imagined, we experimented with AI for 3 still images, which we edited further and ultimately appear as very brief interstitials in the film. That's what I figured. We feel incredibly fortunate to have had such a talented and passionate cast, crew, and producing team go above and beyond to help bring this film to life. We can't wait for everyone to see it for themselves this weekend. So let me just say this. I will not watch an AI movie. Movies with AI art in them, I'm not a fan of, but you gotta be fucking reasonable, guys. A little bit of AI images, like small images, like they're talking about 3 still images, which I said they're probably the images that show up when they're cutting to commercial in the show. That's not a big deal. I think something like that, it's fine. It's when you're using AI voice. It's when you're using AI video. Those are awful. But AI art images that just show up as a still image, come on guys, that's not a big fucking deal. That's not a controversy. It's going to happen more. It's just the way it is. And you know what? It should, like, small things like that, it should just be left up to the director. And to be honest, it should be left up to us as the consumer. If you, as a movie watcher, just cannot stand anything with AI art in it, like not even a still image, here's the simple thing: don't watch it. That's it. It's gonna show up in these articles anyway, so just don't watch it. For me, it's AI produced CGI. Like, I will not watch an AI generated movie. I won't watch a movie or film that has AI generated crowds. I don't want to watch that shit. A still image, not a big deal. That's fine. And as long as you keep it to like a couple of still images, you got like 30 or 40 still images. Although, let me ask you, what movie are you watching 30 to 40 still images on is fucking beyond me. But movies like that, yeah, I'd understand. But movies with a couple of still images that are made in AI, I mean, come on. Even the credits scene, like if the credits is made with AI, I don't give a shit about that. I care about the movie itself. The credits, still images and shit like that, that's garbage. Like, we should be focused on the film itself. So that's my take on that AI controversy. It's not even a fucking controversy. It's just a couple of images. Talk to me when a movie puts an AI person, like an AI generated person in the background. Those are the type of movies I don't want to see. So, Late Night with the Devil, I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I just liked it. Would I watch it again? Maybe. If it's like on TV where I can just watch it and I'm bored and like I've kind of caught up on all my movies, then yeah, I'd probably watch it again because it wasn't terrible and it wasn't bad. It's just, again, if I watched it again, I'd probably watch the first 2 acts, and then once it starts to go off the rails, I'd probably just shut it off after that, because I'd probably give it a try for the first rewatch, but after that, if I really still hate it, then I don't think I could watch the 3rd act again. So that's it. That's my take on Late Night with the Devil. If I happen to get a few more subscribers from this video, I'll make another video and I'll make it about that new Roadhouse movie, because even though it's an awful movie, I definitely want to talk about Conor McGregor and the absolute ridiculous character that he played in that film. Other than that, man, you guys take care. Have a good night. I'll talk to you on the next one.